It's the world. I played Crash 4, the good and bad. Now, y'all know, a few days ago, I did a reaction to the Crash 4 trailer. I was very excited. Gave my honest opinion on it. I'm ready to see what's up. The Dreamcast guy got the game a little early, so he played it. And see what his review says. Let's get into it. Oh shit, I don't even got headphones on.
What's up, gamers? Dreamcast Guy here, talking today about Crash Bandicoot 4, because over the course of last week, I've secretly been playing it. I was sent this unique demo that gave me a chance to play a couple of the levels and see
It's just a
what's
demo.
good and bad about the game so far. And additionally, I had an opportunity to actually interview the developers and ask them any question I want. And since you guys have been subscribed for a while, I'm sure you realized, of course, I quizzed them about microtransactions. So let's talk about this game and really see what makes it unique, and also some of the stuff that has me a bit concerned. Now, before we get into this, just keep in mind, this is an early build of the game. This isn't coming out for many months at this point, and even still, the game runs exceptionally well. So this was a 3-level demo that gave me an opportunity to play as Crash and also Neo Cortex. And there's parts of this that are very, very shockingly
Cortex is
good. The biggest thing is that they've kind of decided to delete a lot of the more controversial and, let's just face it, the awful sequels of Crash. And this is now just instead a direct follow-up to Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Yes, that's right. The original trilogy exists, and we jump straight into this game. The reason I like this is because not only do I think it manages to clean up the rather convoluted time travel storylines, but they've managed to make this feel just exactly like Crash Bandicoot 3 controls, which I absolutely love. I am such a huge fanboy for the original Crash games. There's such a tightness to being able to do dashes and jumps, and even when I'm slipping on ice, I feel like I have the exact controls I want. But they have added some extra tweaks to this to try and make it feel like a proper sequel. So one of the main things that's existed in some of the Crash games is the masks, is special abilities, is this thing
like
to try
that.
and make it where as you're going through a level, there's things that can pop up and change the elements of play. So they've decided
Depending
to
on
do
the
that in
mask.
this one, and in this demo I've had a chance to test out 2 of the new masks that are very, very crazy. I mean, there's no way to even try and explain these together. We have to look at them one by one. So this is one that lets me stop time, or basically like pause it. Now, initially when they give it to you, you're just using it to try and find bonus items. You like press a switch and then try and break all the boxes before they disintegrate. But as it goes along, you start having to use it more for the platforming sections. And here is where it super grabs my interest. Like right here, there's this waterfall and there's these big pieces of ice slowly falling down. Or actually, they're very quickly shooting down. So I need to try and stall the flow of time, jump on them, and jump off. But here's the major thing that takes some practice. So in all these gameplay clips, this is after I've been playing it for a couple hours, and even now I still make some mistakes, which is kind of what I enjoy. I like the fact that Crash Bandicoot really encourages practice and memorization. These are hard in the classic sense of gaming. And in this, I still had to try and practice the timing of this time slowdown. Like, one of the things is that it only works for about a second. It's like 1 second do I stop time. So if I'm going to freeze something and hop onto it and then try and escape, you need to be very, very quick. And they try and use this in a lot of ways, like there will be boxes that shoot fire and stuff, and you need to be able to try and jump in there and destroy them before the fire really gets a chance to heat you up. They also do some stuff like occasionally there will be these nitro boxes, which if you've played Crash, you know that these green nitro boxes, if you touch them, it's instant death. But now that I have this time slowdown mechanic, it does interestingly create this extra element of almost puzzle solving, even in the middle of platforming. Now, the other mask is a little bit more conventional in a way. It's basically like a universal on off switch. There are certain things in the level that are being affected by being like phased in and out, and whenever I turn the mask on, it basically switches back and forth between these two realities. So it gives you a chance to see, like, when you're sliding along on this, you're constantly trying to turn in these different obstructions in your path. You can deactivate them and phase right through them. Now, this is again very puzzle focused, and it's definitely the thing that kind of shocks me the most about Crash 4, because I kind of thought that it would be much more like Crash Bandicoot 3. Now, that game, of course, had its own share of like twists and turns and hidden elements that were exceedingly fun, but here they feel much more mandatory in that you have to try and learn these things and you have to become very skilled with these different masks.
But I mean, I'm fine with that because, like, they're trying to put a different element into the game where the mask give the maps, you know, like more life and more stuff to do in the maps. And I'm okay with that, like, because you could just get the Ooga Booga mask and go crazy, the regular one from all the other Crash Bandicoots, and just rampage through shit and be fast and feel invincible. Like, this gives you a chance to put on those different masks, and they all have their special abilities, and I think that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think that's annoying. I don't think that's bad.
Because otherwise you cannot even progress. But on the topic of puzzles, this does bring me to the one thing I really don't care for in its current form, which is the neocortex stuff. So the full name of this game is, of course, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And that's just the plot, right? It's going to be time traveling and twisting around and getting a chance to double back on the story. So the developers explain this as the fact that there is going to be these side missions that let you play as Neo Cortex, and at the start of the level, you'll begin as Cortex, which is the villain of the story, and progress up to a certain point. Like
I
on
don't like
this one,
Cortex, he's
you're
a op.
trying to go along and get through this ice level. Now, when you're playing as Neo, he's definitely a more slow and methodical character.
I don't even
He
wanna
really
play with him.
requires you to think about each of your jumps, and he doesn't have a double jump. Instead, he has this air dash and a cannon that lets him either turn people into a island to land on or a jump pad. So when you're playing as him, you can't just speed run as Neo Cortex, or at least not originally. You really have to try and practice with him and learn all the ins and outs of his stages, or else you're going to continuously die. I mean, I'm not even going to lie, the first time I was really trying to learn him, I died about 20 times on each of his stages before I got a chance to learn like all the physics of his dashes. But here's where things get very, very peculiar in a positive way, is that basically you play through the level up to a certain point. Like in this one, I go up until the ship explodes, and then I resume control of Crash. I essentially get a chance to play through the rest of the level that already exists. It's in the original timeline, but now that I've played as Neo Cortex, it remixes it to make it extra difficult. So as you're seeing, these are a lot of times the jumps you've seen earlier in the video, except now they have tons of different explosive boxes and blowtorches and just a lot of stuff to make it extra unsafe. So these neocortex levels, I guess my thing is that the neocortex portion of it isn't fun. Being the villain, he just, the balancing of his dashes and stuff and his like weird laser cannon, it just doesn't quite feel finished yet. I'm not judging it too harshly now because obviously this game doesn't even come out for another 2 months. But in its current format, I wish that Neo Cortex was just more fun. Being Crash is exciting because I'm getting a chance.
Maybe that's the part of being a villain, bro. It's not fun. It's not supposed to be fun when you're the villain.
To slide around and do double jumps and break boxes. There's something about Crash that already feels so fluid, and it's kind of shocking when you realize the fact that this is not being designed by the original developers. This is an all-new team over at Toys for Bob that are making this, and in many ways I actually really respect the fact that they managed to get this.
Bro, how are people allowed to just like take a game from the original people that do it and just make it themselves? Like, how is that possible? I couldn't let that happen.
so close to the originals. As a person who has put hundreds of hours over the years into the original Crash trilogy, this does feel almost exactly like it. I think when it comes to just the general speed, the pacing, the leaps, this is about 99% of what classic feels like. Now, one thing I want to touch on is the fact that they're trying to make this a little bit easier. There were some people that were complaining about the difficulty of the Crash Insane Trilogy, so they decided to put in this thing where, as you're on the opening screen, I had a chance to put it on either modern mode or retro mode. When you're playing it on retro mode, it's like the way that games were back in the retro days. You have a certain amount of
Crash has a modded mode and a retro mode. It's crazy. I don't want to get into it. It's crazy Skater XL can't make a modded mode for console players, but it's all good.
lives. You're trying to pick up all the Wampa fruit and stuff to get extra men, but when you ran out of lives, you got a game over. Well, in modern mode, what they've decided to do is now there's this second option where you have infinite lives and instead just a death counter. So you have a chance that if you're somebody like me and is trying to like practice speedrunning and stuff, you can die again and again and again and again, and it doesn't really matter because you can just pop right back. I'm glad that both these choices are in here because it definitely adds some extra elements of customization for people who might not be as hardcore as I am when it comes to the Crash series. But now let's get into
Did you
the
say
real
modded
meat and
or
potatoes.
modern?
The main thing I wanted to address, which is the microtransactions.
Uh-oh.
So my biggest concern with this game wasn't exactly the technical aspects. I mean, I wasn't really worried that the graphics were gonna suck or that the gameplay would be paltry, because this is Toys for Bob. This studio actually does some good work. They did amazing stuff with the Spyro trilogy and stuff. I trust them as developers. My fear was more about the Activision side of things. This is now a new studio that is trying to do Crash good, right? They want to make sure that fans, they make sure that people that are picking this up, to make sure that we're happy. So when I had an opportunity to talk directly to the developers, I asked them one certain question, which is, are there going to be loot crates? There's been some leaks, there's been some rumors, there's been some people speculating that because this is the age of Activision, there might be some dirty business in there. And they gave me a direct reply. So I want to read, this is the specific quote. This is one of the producers. His direct words were, "There will be no microtransactions now or post-launch."
I told y'all.
Now, that's a direct quote. I have permission to direct quote these people. There will be no microtransactions now or post-launch. Now,
Y'all got me wanting to pop some champagne or something, man. This is amazing. In 2020, no microtransactions? Holy shit.
Now, this is incredibly important to me because that is what they did with the freaking the racing game. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled came out, was fun, was a little bit wonky, but with the patch updates, they introduced microtransactions at a later date, and that was my fear. So the fact that they're now guaranteeing on paper that there isn't going to be microtransactions now or post-launch,
It's amazing.
I'm going to hold you to this, Toys for Bob. If you decide to change it later on, I'm absolutely going to roast you. And I'm going to make a big old clickbait video called, like, Activision lies about Crash.
Okay, Dreamcast
anyways,
guy.
That's been my impression so far about Crash Bandicoot.
I love
I'm
it.
extremely excited for the game. I'm definitely going to be playing it. I'm definitely going to be reviewing it. What did you think about this gameplay? I have no idea if this demo is going to be released publicly, but I really hope it is, because even though it's short, these levels were exceedingly cool. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please...
All right, y'all. You see what it is, man. We saw a couple of the levels and what the different masks do. I'm still hype about it just as much as I was from the trailer. Even in the trailer, they said that there weren't going to be any microtransactions, so I'm still lit. I'm still feeling it. I'm just ready to play this. I wonder if they're going to drop a demo for us to play, man. The footage looks cool. Gameplay looks cool. I'm ready to go, though. Let me know, man. You copping Crash Bandicoot or what? Until next time, it's the world.